Germany once tried to get the U.S. to go to war with Mexico. Let's learn about it on The Internet Says It's True. Well, hey there and welcome to The Internet Says It's True, where every week we learn something that sounds like it's made up, but it's really true. Part of the WCBE podcast experience, available on all podcast platforms, wherever you listen, even NPR on the app and the website. My name is Michael Kent. This is episode 233. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's a brand new episode this week. We've got a story about a single telegram, and it's one that had the potential to change American history as we know it. Later in the show, we'll be joined by comedian Joel Savage, so stay tuned for that. I want to welcome new visitors. We've got Ben and Chris. Thank you so much for joining the Patreon. You'll be getting your stickers in the mail soon. If you want to join the party, go to patreon.com/Michael Kent and sign up at any level. And then, you can be part of the club, the Cool Kids Club. That gets you 20% off all merch, gets you access to extras like ad-free episodes, exclusive videos, show stickers, and more. Once again, you can join at patreon.com/Michael Kent. Also, keep leaving those reviews. If you go to the Purple Podcast app, Apple Podcasts, it's super easy. Just go to the podcast, scroll down, you'll see the area that says tap to rate. Give us 5 stars and then write a review. And that allows other people to find the show so they can become more smarter, just like you. So this week's show is about something that I had never heard about. It's about a telegram that shaped the path of World War I. World War I saw some interesting alliances. It was strange that the Ottoman Empire allied itself with Germany, but they both had enemies in Britain and Russia. Japan had always been a very isolationist country, but became allies with Britain. And Italy was allied with Britain despite the fact that they had begun the war allied with the other side. But one of the strangest alliances is one that was attempted by Germany but failed. A German alliance with Mexico. So first, let's meet Arthur Zimmerman. He was a German diplomat who rose through the ranks of the German Foreign Office until he became foreign minister in 1916, overseeing most of Germany's diplomatic strategies. He was often described as incredibly skilled but overconfident. Upon assuming the role of foreign minister, one of the most important decisions he made was regarding the use of unrestricted submarine warfare. At the beginning of the war, in 1914, Germany had 30 submarines known as U-boats, which is a shortened version of the delightfully named cognate Unterseeboot. And during this time, the Royal British Navy controlled the seas, which essentially forced a blockade on Germany. They couldn't get any supplies by sea, and to fight this, the U-boats started attacking Royal Navy and neutral merchant ships. They practiced what was called unrestricted submarine warfare, attacking ships with no warning, a huge departure from the standard prize rules of war of the time. The other thing that was going on right now was that Britain and France wanted the U.S. to enter the war. At this point, the U.S. hadn't involved itself in the war other than U.S. banks helping to prop up Britain and France, and those banks had an interest in the war because if Germany won, they wouldn't get their billions of dollars back. The U.S. traded heavily with these allied nations, so there was a very strong interest in their side of the war winning. Germany knew that the U.S. entering the war was something they didn't want. At various points during the war, this was expressed by different German officials. The German Emperor Kaiser Wilhelm III said, quote, "I would rather accept a disadvantageous peace today than to see the United States enter the war," end quote. Now, the German ambassador to the U.S., Count Johann von Bernstorff, said, "Once America is our enemy, it will never be our friend again." Germany knew that the U.S. intervention could be disastrous, but its leaders gambled that they could win the war quickly before the U.S. entered the war. Their underestimation of American power was one of their greatest strategic mistakes. On May 7, 1915, something happened that sped up the U.S. entry into the war. A German U-boat, U-20, sank a British passenger ship, the Lusitania, killing almost 1,200 people, including 128 Americans. Immediately, American citizens started calling for the U.S. to retaliate. Public opinion against Germany was declining in the U.S., and as a result, Germany announced they would suspend unrestricted submarine warfare in order to avoid the United States sending men overseas. And this was September of 1915. but they continued attacking ships, including the British ship Sussex, which injured more Americans. This happened in 1916, and after that they said, okay, fine, we're going to keep attacking people with our U-boats, but we'll warn them first. But behind the scenes, there was something else going on. Once they had appeased the U.S., Arthur Zimmerman was planning to quietly resume unrestricted submarine warfare, meaning no more warnings. He was planning to do so in February of 1917. And he had a plan to mitigate the risk of the U.S. entering the war. In a risky move, Zimmerman wrote a telegram to a nation he wanted to become a new ally with Germany, Mexico. Here's the full text of the telegram, which was sent January 16 of 1917. We intend to begin on the 1st of February unrestricted submarine warfare. We shall endeavor, in spite of this, to keep the United States of America neutral. In the event of this not succeeding, we make Mexico a proposal of alliance on the following basis: make war together, make peace together, generous financial support, and an understanding on our part that Mexico is to reconquer the lost territory in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. The settlement in detail is left to you. You will inform the President of Mexico of the above most secretly as soon as the outbreak of war with the United States is certain, and suggest that he should, on his own initiative, communicate with Japan, suggesting adherence at once to this plan. At the same time, offer to mediate between Germany and Japan. Please call the President's attention to the fact that the ruthless employment of our submarines now offers the prospect of compelling England to make peace within a few months." End quote. This message was sent to the German ambassador in Mexico, Heinrich von Eckart. We'll talk about what happened next after a quick break. I know a couple things that are true about listeners to this show. Number one, a lot of you are in the New York and New Jersey area. And number two, you need therapy. And I don't say that because I know you. I say that because I think everyone needs therapy. I think that personally, therapy is one of the best things I've ever done. And I know that life has so many challenges. It's not getting easier. And whether it's anxiety, grief, low self-esteem, identity issues, trauma, relationship challenges, looking at the news and seeing what's going on in our country, it's very easy to get overwhelmed by life's challenges. But at Salt River Therapy, their therapists provide you with a safe, affirming space to heal and to grow. They have a boutique practice that offers compassionate, quality therapy for individuals and couples, both in person in Brooklyn and virtually throughout New York and New Jersey. And they specialize in these very things that we were talking about, whether it's anxiety or grief or trauma, relationship challenges, so much more. Now, they accept most New York Aetna plans and have sliding scale rates available. Are you ready to prioritize your mental health? Schedule a free consultation today. Go to saltrivertherapy.com. Let them support you on your journey to well-being.
Hey, I'm Cliff Bumgardner.
And I'm Harrison Stewart.
If you're like us, you probably grew up watching the Discovery Channel classic, Mythbusters.
From rocket cars to chicken cannons, Mythbusters proved there's no question too big, too small, or too ridiculous to put to the test.
Now we're going back to rewatch the show from episode 1, and we want you to follow along. Join us as we revisit every single myth, moment, experiment, and explosion from throughout the show's legendary 14 seasons. Subscribe now so you don't miss one.
There was a time that humans used 100% organic products as healing balms and moisturizers for their skin. Well, I've partnered with an awesome company that wants to get back to those times. Fatco sells organic and responsibly made tallow-based skincare products. For centuries, humans used tallow in skin moisturizers and healing balms, but unfortunately, the topical application of these fats seemed to stop around the same time that animal fats stopped being considered part of a healthy diet. A lot of modern skincare products do more harm than good by stripping your skin of its natural oils. Let's change that. You can try them out now at fatco.com and get 15% off your order by using my promo code INTERNET. Go to theinternetsaysitstrue.com/deals for the link. If you love listening to this podcast every week and you want to show your support, that would mean a great deal to me. You can do that by becoming a Patreon member. We've got members at all levels, whether you want to pledge $1 a month or $10 a month. Just think about the value that you receive from this show. And if you like the histories and the stories that you learn about or the jokes that you hear, and if you think that they're worth it, consider signing up. For that, you get every episode ad-free and a week early, access to bonuses like the unedited videos of the guest appearances, and 20% off all merchandise. You can sign up today at patreon.com/Michael Kent. That's patreon.com/Michael Kent. Arthur Zimmerman's telegram to Mexico was received in January of 1917 and read by not only Germany's ambassador to Mexico, but it was sent up the chain to Mexico's president, Venustiano Carranza. He ordered an analysis of the proposal. So it's important to know now what kind of situation Mexico was in 1917. As this telegram was being sent, the Mexican Revolution was coming to an end. It had been going on for the last 7 years and saw a power struggle between Venustiano, Pancho Villa, Emiliano Zapata, and Álvaro Obregón. It had been a brutal civil war, and as a result, the military and the country was fractured. The Mexican army was tiny, ill-equipped, and poorly trained, mostly because there hadn't been any sort of unified command structure since 1910. Mostly what was happening at the time was just guerrilla warfare carried out by small factions and militias. They had no air force, no tanks, and most of their guns were from the 1800s. The government was still working on recovering from the Civil War and consolidating power. They had no industrial resources to support any sort of war effort. So even if they wanted to take Germany up on this offer, they couldn't. Sure, they would have loved to regain the territories of Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona, but they just simply couldn't. The most they had the capability of doing were maybe small raids like the one Pancho Villa had led into New Mexico the previous year. Even if they decided to take Germany up on its offer, there's no way Germany could have even held up their end of the deal. There was still a British naval blockade. Germany couldn't have gotten troops and supplies and money to Mexico. Mexico couldn't risk total war with their closest neighbor. They'd be obliterated, and they knew it. So rather than antagonize the U.S., Carranza's government informed the Germans they had no interest in Germany's plan. Mexico remained neutral in World War I, avoiding conflict with both the U.S. and Germany. But what is really interesting about this story is how foolish this telegram was, both in concept and in execution. For Zimmerman, this was a contingency plan in case the U.S. entered the war, but what he didn't count on was that the very knowledge of this plan was enough to get the U.S. to do exactly that, enter the war. British Intelligence Cryptography Office, known as Room 40, intercepted the Zimmerman telegram almost as quickly as it was sent. It had been encrypted using Germany's diplomatic cipher 0075, which was a code that the British had already partially cracked. But a British cryptographer, William Reginald Hall, that is such a British name, this guy went by the nickname Blinker, worked hard to decode this new message, and by January 25th, 1917, this was 9 days after it was sent, he decoded it, which in turn helped to complete their understanding of Germany's code. But how did they get the message in the first place? This is the most baffling part. The war had resulted in Germany's direct telegram cables being severed to the Western Hemisphere. So in order to send anything across the ocean, they relied on neutral diplomatic cables, and those cables belonged to the U.S. So in a way, the U.S. was unknowingly helping Germany by allowing them to send encrypted messages to their embassies in the Americas. In the case of the Zimmerman telegram, it had traveled from Berlin to Washington, then on to Mexico City via commercial telegraph. On top of that, they sent the thing 3 different ways simultaneously to make sure it arrived in Mexico City. Zimmerman also sent the message through a Swedish diplomatic telegram service and through radio transmissions. The British had already tapped the transatlantic diplomatic cables. Every single message Germany was sending was being intercepted immediately. It was simply a matter of decoding. They received the message from the cables and from intercepting the radio transmission. The problem now was, how do they let the United States of America know without letting on that they were intercepting and decoding Germany's communications? Here's what they did. First off, they sat on it. They didn't let on that they had the message at all, and they probably realized the threat of Mexico joining the war was pretty slim, so There was no need to hurry, basically. Secondly, they pretended they stole a hard copy of the telegram in Mexico before relaying it to the U.S. And February came, and the unrestricted submarine warfare by German U-boats resumed. By March, the telegram was being seen by not just American diplomats and leaders, but by the entire world as it was being published in American newspapers. Americans were incensed that Germany was trying to incite a war between Mexico and the U.S. Here's an excerpt from a March 1st newspaper article in the Daily Review from Decatur, Illinois. Washington, March 1. Full official confirmation of Germany's intrigue to ally Mexico and Japan with her to make war on the United States, as revealed last night by the Associated Press, was given today at the White House, the State Department, and in the Senate. On the floor of the Senate, it was announced that Democratic senators had been authorized to state that the revelations, including the text of the instructions from German Foreign Minister Zimmerman to German Minister von Eckhart, Mexico City, were correct, end quote. While many Americans were angry, others didn't believe it. They thought it was a false flag to get the U.S. to join the war effort. Germany didn't confirm or deny the veracity of the telegram, but some German officials publicly implied it was a forgery. That is, until 2 days later, when on March 3rd, Arthur Zimmerman admitted it. He said, "I cannot deny it, it is true." And then in a speech a few weeks later, he said, "I instructed our ambassador in Mexico to propose an alliance with Mexico should war with the United States break out. I make no secret of it." But this was one of the biggest backfires in military history. Remember, Germany wanted to avoid the U.S. going to war, but the anger from the telegram caused the opposite. Even Americans who had previously wanted the U.S. to remain neutral could no longer defend their position. U.S. Secretary of State Robert Lansing said, "Germany seeks to destroy the territorial integrity of the United States. This is not merely an insult, it is an act of aggression," end quote. And then U.S. Senator Henry Cabot Lodge said, "Germany is not merely at war with England and France. She is at war with civilization itself, and now she seeks to bring the war to our very borders," end quote. And then there's President Woodrow Wilson, who said, "The thing that astonished me was that Zimmerman should have been so stupid as to send a thing of that kind in a way that was almost certain to be intercepted," end quote. In Wilson's speech to Congress asking for a declaration of war, he then said, "Germany has filled our unsuspecting homes and offices with spies and sought to turn against us the nations of our own hemisphere." Between this and Germany's continuance of unrestricted submarine warfare, the U.S. now felt that entering the war was unavoidable. On April 6, 1917, they officially declared that they were entering World War I. If you want to see an original copy of Zimmerman's telegram, you can see it in the U.S. National Archives in Washington, D.C., who occasionally put it on display. There are also the original coded versions along with the decoding work in London's National Archives. This message became one of the biggest intelligent coups in history, directly contributing to America's entry into World War I. After the fiasco, Arthur Zimmerman faced intense criticism but stayed on as Germany's foreign minister until August 1917, when he resigned amid growing political turmoil. He faded from public life and never held another government position in his life. Unlike many German officials, he wasn't prosecuted or exiled after World War I. He lived quietly until his death in 1940, largely forgotten despite his role in one of history's most infamous diplomatic blunders. The internet says it's true. It's time for Yap Yap with me and a friend, and today I'm calling Joel Savage. For over 20 years, Joel Savage has been making the world laugh with his avant-garde yet mainstream brand of humor. And then it's been 9 years. He's been the titular host of the Sick World of Doctors show. It's coming back, by the way, in June 13, 14. It's going to be at Boxland. He's also star of the wickedly funny late-night talk show It's Too Late with Joel Savage. And then later this year, you're going to catch him with super successful and iconic comedy troupe Savage Tech performing sketch comedy live at Sketchorama. He's one of my favorite performers in Columbus. He's doing things differently than everyone else is doing it. Good to see you, Joel. How you been, man?
Pretty good. You didn't read exactly the the copy that I sent you, but that's fine. I'll let it slide just this one time.
It's one of the perks that you get of being the show host, that you don't have to read exactly what the guest sends you. But now that everyone's curious and they're waiting, let me find it. Okay, here's what I should have said. Sorry, not what Joel sent me. Here's what I should have said. You can also gaze upon his boyish charm and dashing good looks at random comedy shows he produces and or stars in throughout Columbus. Please welcome your next favorite funny man, Joel Savage. Okay, this is me, Mike, just saying this, not prompted at all, but Joel Savage is my biggest inspiration for comedy and, dare I say, my hero. Welcome to the program, Joel. It's an honor to speak with you today.
So my God.
That's what I originally was planning on
so
saying, and then, for the sake of brevity and nothing else, decided to cut it.
Okay, so when I write, I like to get inside the mind of the character that I'm writing for, and I figured that's exactly word for word what I figured you would say. So
you're not far off. You're not far off.
What's going on, buddy? How's it going?
It's good to see you, man. Is this your first time on this podcast?
I think as me, yes, I think so.
Well, I had you on Joke Story Trick, my other show.
Yes.
I had you on Joke Story Trick as a fake ghost hunter, which was a ton of fun. By the way, if you want to see that episode, join the Patreon. All of the Joke Story Trick episodes are on Patreon. And it was the Halloween episode from probably 2021, maybe 2020 or 2021.
I think it was exactly. 2020 because we were all in lockdown. I feel like
we were in lockdown and just coming up with the weirdest ideas ever. I used the magic of television to make him magically disappear during the interview. He just fades away. It's kind of great. Anyway, it's been a long time.
He really did that, folks.
That's right.
If you haven't seen him live, go see him live. He did it in person. It was amazing.
That's right.
He made me just disappear.
It was real. It was all real. It's one of those amazing magic tricks. But this has nothing to do with any of that. This show is about stuff that people don't know and the stuff that sounds made up but is really true. And one of the things I like to, Joel, one of the things I like to do before we get to know who you are is I have a new segment where I ask guests to tell me a fact that they think maybe I haven't heard about. Do you have something like this?
Okay. Yeah. So I've been trying to think all week of like what fact that Michael Kent wouldn't know, because I know that you are a scholar and you know just about everything there is to know. So I was like trying to I have a brother that works at NASA.
Ooh.
And I was like, hey, give me some facts, give me something that and like everything. I was like, nah, that sounds like something Mike would know. That sounds like something Mike would know. But then I was like, you know what? My favorite monster of all time is Dracula. And so I have this little tidbit about Bela Lugosi. So Bela Lugosi was a famous actor in Hungary. He was friends with the president of Hungary at the time. There was a coup. He was overthrown. He fled the country because he was afraid for his own safety. And he came to America, and that's how we got Bela Lugosi. He was in the stage play of Dracula. That was like his first like big role on Broadway. Thing is he didn't know how to speak English. So his first time playing Dracula, every word was phonetically memorized. He had no idea of anything that he was saying. It was just all phonetic. And that's why everybody was like, wow, this is amazing. Because in the book, Dracula learns how to speak English through written word. So it's all kind of weirdly phonetic. And they were like, my God, this actor's so good. He's doing the phonetic reading of like how Dracula would speak in the book. Eventually, when they made the movie, he knew how to speak English by then. But yeah, I always thought that was really amazing that
I've never heard that.
He learned an entire
incredible.
play phonetically.
That's how I learned the words to La Bamba when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't know Spanish, but I was like 10 and I memorized. I had a California Raisins cassette tape with La Bamba on it.
Yes.
And I memorized it phonetically, not knowing what any of it. I'm glad there's nothing dirty that it says, it's
Yeah.
phrases like, I'm not the sailor, I'm the captain and things like that. It's not like anything crazy, but
Is that what it's about? It's about boats? It's
No,
not
that's just one
about
part of
Lou
it.
Diamond Phillips at all?
There's very little, at least, about Lou Diamond Phillips. There are several references to Tombstone, but then at one point the most of the song is just it's just Richie Valens beating his chest.
Oh, really?
Well,
Wow.
yeah, saying like, "Hey, I'm awesome. Let's dance this dance called La Bamba." It was like an ancient
he was
version
like
of the Bartman, kind of. Yeah.
To the Bartman. So in the song, he's like saying stuff like, "I'm the greatest. I can never die. Planes, I don't fear them at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Storms, who cares? I'll fly in a storm. I'll fly the freaking plane. La Bamba."
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that how it goes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
Buddy Holly's very trustworthy in travel decisions. That's one of the lines in the song.
Big Bopper's not annoying.
It's weird. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of Big Bopper, like the real Big Bopper. I've seen La
really?
Bamba many, many times. It was like one of my favorite movies when I was a kid.
Me too. Yeah.
And I will always see. Was it Busey that played? Busey played Buddy Holly.
Yes, with his big old horse teeth.
Oh my god!
Hi everybody. My name is Buddy Holly.
That's a great Busey.
He always tells me that.
Such a good Busey. Poor guy. We're watching this in real time. We're watching him decay in front of all of us.
Oh my god. It's yeah, it's sad. It's sad. We are thoughts and prayers with you, Busey.
His cameos are really entertaining. They're so weird. And then, what's weird about Busey is like people started there's so much Busey footage, they put it into like AI video generators to make him say weird stuff. And you can't tell that that's not stuff he actually would say. Like it's inseparable from reality. It's crazy.
Yeah, indistinguishable.
That's the word.
It's insane. Oh my gosh. Like there's some things, there's like, what was it in Doctor Who? There's like fixed points of time that you need to, and you just feel like Busey needed to have that motorcycle accident without a helmet to get just the gorgeous things. And that sounds really bad. God bless Mr. Busey. Unless when this comes out, he's canceled, then I never liked him anyways.
Yeah, so. between when we're recording this and 5 a.m. tomorrow when this comes out, if something happens where Busey just does something stupid, I mean, I'm sure he's done stupid stuff, but we learn about it, then yeah, we've got a full disclaimer that Joel has no actual, he doesn't look up to the guy. But
here's take one. Oh, Busey's amazing. I love him. He's a genius man. Take two. Wow. I saw it coming.
Yeah,
I didn't want to say it. Yeah.
I've been telling people for years.
Yeah, okay. Me too.
Perfect. We've got them both. We've got them both in the can. We're ready to go. All right, let's get into the game. For question 1, Joel, we're going to play for a joke. So if you get it wrong, you got to tell me a joke. If you get it right, I'll tell you a joke. In lieu of me learning a joke about the show topic this week, we're going to dig into one of the joke books that I have in the back and pick a page and find a joke that's appropriate. Okay, here's your question. During World War I, a telegram was intercepted that exposed Germany's plans to try to create an alliance with which one of these unlikely partners? A, Mexico, B, Canada, or C, California? One of these is true. Germany really tried to create an alliance with one of these. Mexico, Canada, or California?
Okay, so during World War I, I'm pretty sure California was already part of the United States because the Lewis and Clark expedition already happened by then. Canada was at that time was a sovereign nation to England, and England was in the war fighting against Germany, so that probably would make sense. So probably I would say Mexico.
The answer, it's Mexico. That is correct. You win the first one. And therefore a joke. But before we get into that, just quickly, what happened was this dude, he was the foreign minister for Germany. He said, hey, if you help us and align with us during World War I, we will help you fight America to get Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona back. And at this time, Mexico had just gotten through the revolution. Like this was like a civil war for like 7 years. And so they were in no place to be able to do anything militarily. And so they said no. But the big problem was that for Germany, they wanted to do everything they could to keep the U.S. out of the war. And by uncovering this telegram, it was the thing that pushed the U.S. into the war. So it was a big like backfire on Germany.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing! Wow.
Yes.
Thank you,
yes.
Michael. Wow.
You're very welcome.
You're so smart.
I'm not. I just read all this stuff.
Gifted with magic.
Thank you. All right, tell me a number between 1 and 500, and I'll choose the page.
169.
Oh, hey yo, 169, 169. All right, our topic on page 169 is oh my god, what is? Oh, I can't read any of this. Okay,
it's
here we
Michael,
go.
Just sound it out.
None of these are appropriate. These are all about foreign nations in
Oh
no, it's not even that. The topic, this is funny. The topic is enemies. Like it's like I can't read these. These are all incredibly racist.
If that was if that was my chapter in my book, 169 enemies, top of the list, Michael Kent.
Michael Kent. Yeah,
I'm coming for you, Michael Kent. I'm coming for you.
These are,
okay. Yeah, you pick dealer's choice. You pick something.
I'm gonna have to. I'm just going back. I'm back 4 pages now without finding one.
When was this book written?
Well, this is the Friars Club Encyclopedia Jokes, and so this is a compilation going back decades and decades. Yeah, these are all horrible. So what I'll do is I'll pick one that's not about a person of color. So this is going to be about Italians. How many Italians does it take to screw in a light? How many Italians does it take to screw in a light bulb? 2, one to screw it in and one to shoot the witnesses. These are horrible jokes. This is so bad.
I like that one. That's good. I'll have to tell that one to
nobody.
David Gelati, our partner that in Savage Check. One of my.
He's so Italian. He's got an Italian name with unpronounced G's. Seen the Canadian bumper sticker? It says, "I'd rather be driving." I don't even get that one. What does that even mean? I got to start finding real jokes again instead of pulling out the book, because these are just getting bad. Now, tell me a little bit about the Sick World of Dr. Show. What's the elevator pitch? Tell people, what is it?
Okay, the elevator pitch is you can't explain what it is. You have to experience it.
Okay.
On June
Horrible
13th,
elevator pitch. Get me out of this elevator.
No. Close the doors. Close the doors. One more time. Give me one more chance, please, Mr. Kent, please.
Shot number 2.
Okay. Sick World of Doctor Show is a multimedia mixed media comedy show that is part like sketch, part improv, part monster movies, part variety show. We show movies. We have commercial breaks from showing old commercials from years past. It is basically everything I love in life I put into one show, and then everything that Lindsay Bowes, the director and writer of the show, she puts all of her amazing things that she loves, like Warner Brothers cartoons, and then David Gelati, who's also the performer slash writer and producer of the show. He puts everything that he loves. So it's a combination of all 3 of our loves put together into one show. Plus monster movies. It's pretty fun,
and it really does have like a fun avant-garde feel to it. It's a little bit Demento, a little bit Svengoolie,
yes,
and just not stuff that anyone else in town is doing. Or
we used to say it's like Tales from the Crypt meets Pee-wee's Playhouse, but trying to explain that to people, because Tales from the Crypt nobody really remembers anymore, and also Pee-wee's Playhouse nobody remembers anymore. So they're like, "What? What does that mean?"
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I encourage you to just check it out. If you Google, the Sick World of Dr. Show, you're going to find all of the stuff. For question 2,
I encourage you to check it out too. Don't just take Michael Kent's word for it. He's a magician. He lies to you
take
for
the
a living.
Unbiased
Take my
word of the developer and founder.
Yes.
For this question, if you get it wrong,
Yes.
you have to. These are the rules. You have to post a cryptic message on Facebook, much like a secret coded German telegram. See how I did that? It's like that's the connect.
Okay.
If you get it right, I'll do the same. So basically, it can be anything you want, but it has to be somewhat cryptic on Facebook. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the British had a code breaking unit during World War I. It was known as Room 40. That was just where they were. What was the name of the U.S. Army's code breaking unit during World War I? Was it A, MI8 Code and Cipher Bureau, B, the Division of Warfare Messages, or C, the League of Extraordinary Codebreakers? One of these is true. It was either MI8 Code and Cipher Bureau, the Division of Warfare Messages, or the League of Extraordinary Codebreakers.
Okay, so A and C sound very, very British, but but B also sounds very British, but less likely to be made up. So I'm going to go with B.
The answer, this fooled me. It's A. It's MI8. Sounds very
What?
British. I know. This one threw me. The MI8 Code and Cipher Bureau was the U.S. Army's first formal cryptographic unit working on intercepting and deciphering messages. This laid the foundation for future American code-breaking effort, including the ones in World War II. So, yeah, the other two I made up.
That's insane. Wow.
MI8. MI6 was the
MI6
British intelligence. Yeah, that's like British
James Bond.
secret intelligence. But yeah, MI8. I don't know who stole what from who. One of those was stolen from someone.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
About James Bond real quick?
Yeah, I can answer a question about James Bond.
What do you think about Amazon taking over James Bond?
I haven't heard about this.
Oh yeah. Okay. Here's fact number 2 that Michael hasn't heard about. Amazon acquired the rights from the Broccoli family, who has owned the rights to James Bond for this entire time. Their last name is Broccoli because broccoli's named after them because they discovered broccoli. That's how rich they are.
Okay.
And they just sold the rights to Amazon. And the first thing that Jeff Bezos did was went on Twitter and was like, "Who do you think should be the next James Bond?" And
well, I hate that.
Don't ask. Yeah, I do too.
That. I was going to say, I would have to see more of a catalog of properties that Amazon has bought that already existed to see sort of,
Lord of the Rings.
They bought Lord of the Rings.
Yes, and they're not handling it well.
Yeah, it just seems like anyone that buys a property that already has such a strong canon and such a strong following, it's never going to live up. Now, that said, there have been Star Wars movies that I have felt, or Star Wars projects that I have felt did really well. Mandalorian was incredible. There have been things where like they listen to what the fans want, and I think that is what has to happen with James Bond. Is that instead of playing into the tropes, you have to say, like, what does James Bond mean to the fan base? And do that somehow without, you couldn't create most of the James Bond movies today. They would be incredibly misogynistic and
Give me some examples. I'm kidding.
The names of all of the love interests of every movie. But I think like there's a way to do it without completely, ruining the franchise.
Okay.
But I don't really have a strong connection with James Bond. I never really did.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't like, not like Star Wars or anything like that. I never really connected with any of the James Bonds as like, oh, this is my James Bond. To me, it was just, they're interesting, whatever.
Timothy Dalton, baby, all the way. Yes.
Yeah.
No, not
I
really.
don't even.
I was never into James Bond, to be perfectly honest. I was just curious what your thought is about corporate takeover.
All right, well, let's move on. By the way, because you got that wrong, you've got to post a cryptic message on your Facebook.
Okay.
In some sort of way that sounds like it's a code.
Oh, okay.
And only you and I and the listeners to this show will know what's going on there.
Well, then the listener should probably follow me on Facebook.
Please do. Joel Savage. Question 3. For this question, We're going to play for a sticker. It's 3 inches, it's square, and the back has adhesive so that you can stick it to things. That's how stickers work.
Okay.
What was one of the first major historical conflicts where coded messages played a significant role? Was it A, the American Revolutionary War, B, the Trojan War, where they hid messages inside wooden horses, or C, the American Civil War?
Ooh, okay.
So we're talking about coded messages.
Okay, so I feel like coded messages have always been around since the beginning of time. Just because that kind of thing. I know. I feel like you're trying to throw me off by bringing up the Trojan War. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say the Trojan War, the number B. Number B.
Number B is incorrect. The answer is A, the American Revolutionary War. That was the first time we have written history of both British and American forces using things like invisible ink and coded messages to hide their plans from the enemy. That shocked me. What's that?
That's crazy. That's insane. I would have thought that people would have tried to hide what they're doing way sooner than that.
Same. And it could have happened. I mean, the question was, what was one of the first major historical conflicts? The Trojan War, I absolutely was just trying to throw you off. And the Civil War, of course, there were coded messages.
Yeah.
I don't personally know about them, but I guarantee there were, just because of the fact that there were in the Revolutionary War. So
does that mean I have to send you one of my the Dr. Show stickers?
I absolutely need a Dr. Show sticker.
Okay, cool.
Please.
I'll set that aside.
Okay. Question 4. For this question, if you get it wrong, you have to publicly and dramatically apologize for missing the question when after the question.
Okay.
If you get it right, I'll apologize to you for doubting your knowledge. Okay. So.
Ooh, and then I can grovel.
Yes, that's what this all is about, grovel.
Nice.
How many American soldiers were sent to Europe during World War I as part of the war effort? Was it A, 20 million American soldiers, B, 2 million, or C, 500,000?
I would say 500,000.
Final answer?
That'll be my final answer, yes.
Answer, 2 million.
Jeez! I didn't even know there were that many people!
Right? So get this.
At that time.
Approximately 4.7 million Americans served in World War II, and of those, 2 million were sent to Europe, and of those, roughly 1.3 million saw combat. Isn't that crazy?
Well, then what were the other million doing? Just like hanging out?
Yeah, I guess maybe desk jobs in the city. I don't know. I mean, I assume, I look at the way that war happens now, and you have a lot of people overseas serving that aren't necessarily seeing combat because they have administrative jobs, or they have, they're working in hospitals or whatever it might be. But yeah, only 1.3 out of 4.7, 1.3 saw combat, and 2 million went to Europe. So
wow,
it's crazy. It's a lot more than I thought.
Robin Williams famously had a radio show during Vietnam War. So yeah,
that ties in.
What was the name of it? Michael?
Good Morning Vietnam.
You're correct. Yeah. Here, you get another Dr. Show sticker. You get 2 of them.
I was just talking about this the other day. There is an amazing video of Robin Williams doing a USO tour. And during his stand-up routine, right, he's on stage, he's performing, and during the performance, they play the retreat song, which is basically the name for bringing the flag down at the end of the day. It's taps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the flag's being pulled down. And when that happens, you, as a military person, you have to stand and salute the flag. And the flag happened to be behind the soldiers, behind the audience. So not only did Robin Williams see an entire audience turn around and face away from him, but then when he realized what was going on, I mean, he was just left, he had to stop because no one's looking at him. And when he asked them what was going on, they said, retreat. And he said, retreat, that's not something you want to hear your soldiers say to you. It's the best. His reactions are so genuine. And so I don't know if he knew ahead of time that it was going to happen and then just wrote a little bit, or if this was all 100% contemporaneous. But it's an amazing little piece of video to look for. I'm sure it's on YouTube. I've seen it multiple times. So it's a great thing.
I used to work at Disney World, and he would come through with his family because he
Wow.
got free tickets because he was a voice.
Yeah.
And he was so nice to everybody that went by, because there were a lot of, I'm not going to name any names, but there were a lot of celebrities that came by, and they were just like, did not look you in the eye, was like, leave me alone. He
Yeah.
was so nice and sweet to everybody. Robin Williams was awesome. Anyways, that's
That's
it.
amazing to hear. I
Yeah.
love to hear it when, they say don't meet your heroes for the very reason of like, a lot of time that's not the case. You hear,
Yeah.
really bad stories. And anytime I'm at Disney World and I see the people in the red plaid, escorting someone, I'm always trying to figure out who it is. I swam in a pool with Neo once at the Grand Floridian, which was fun.
Oh,
Not with
wow.
Neo, in the same pool with Neo. I didn't talk to the man.
You
But
got to swim in the same pee as Neo?
yeah, and
Wow.
Neo's kids. Yeah,
Ooh,
absolutely.
so
Yeah,
definitely pee.
yeah. But it was the Grand Floridian, so it was rich pee.
Ooh.
I didn't pay for it. They paid for me to be there. Okay, let's move on. And by the way, you got that wrong, so I need a quick public and dramatic apology.
Yes, of course. Oh, right now?
Yeah. We're doing it live.
Folks, I just want to say to you out there, when you look up the word regret in the dictionary, it talks about uh, everything that I'm feeling right now, and I I feel like I owe you, the people, and especially Michael Kent, my guardian angel, my ride or die. I just want to apologize to you, the people, about me missing this. Oh my God. Question. After this episode, I am going to retreat, and I am going to be with my family, and I'm going to think about what I did. I'm learning to be a better person right now, and I just want to say I'm sorry.
Apology accepted.
Oh, thanks you. Oh, nice.
Uh,
Thanks you.
We're almost there. This next question is the final one. It's for all the marbles. If you get it right, you're welcome back on the podcast anytime. If you get it wrong, banned for life, perma-banned.
Oh,
Never
no.
allowed
Okay,
back
well,
on. Yeah.
all right, cool. Okay.
This one is an open-ended question, no multiple choice. But there are two parts. If you, Joel Savage, could declare war on something, what would it be on? Please declare war on that thing and then explain your rationale for doing so.
If I could declare war on anything, it would be, what is the thing I hate more than anything in the world? Magic? No, it's not magic. It's
Damn you.
I would declare war on. Okay, so I'm really into late night shows. I have my own late night show. It's Too Late with Joel Savage. Coming back later this year. And I feel like, I know this is really stupid, but James Corden was so bad at at being a talk show host that they literally canceled his franchise show because nobody wanted it after him. So I guess I would declare war on James Corden and getting him out of this country, away from these people, back home to England. I hate hearing you sing. I hate hearing stories about how rude and awful you are to servers. I hate his prom king comedy of, hey, I put on a dress. That's pretty funny, right? Yeah, I guess just one person, James Corden. And I think that's a safe answer. I think everybody's okay with that, right?
I think so. I think we are all ready to declare war on James Corden. I thought you were going to say you were going to banish him to a El Salvadoran prison.
Yes, let's do that. That
seems
sounds way better.
I think we've already got a pipeline set up for this. So,
Mike, you're already. Listen, I just throw stuff out there, and you volley it back with such precision, and you add more that it just like, yeah, I was just gonna send him back to his hometown. Are you kidding me? That's even better.
If there's one thing that 46 years on this earth as a straight white guy has taught me, it's how to be a good podcast host.
Yes. Oh man, I've never I think this is my second ever podcast ever being on.
Is
So
that right?
yeah, I'm really bad at being on podcasts. Damn it.
I'm learning still, and this is episode 233. So we're working on it.
Do you want to do an apology right now to
I
the
kind of
folks?
want to apologize for 230. You know what? I'm not sorry for the podcast or the episodes. I'm sorry for the weeks that I don't get a new episode out and I have to run a rerun. That's just a function of me also still touring and doing other jobs. So,
But you're human, man. You know what I mean? You can't be
human.
doing this 24/7.
No, I just have too
You
many
have
other things
family.
that I do. Yeah.
You have a life. You have bills you have to
But
pay.
I want to point out something. With a correct answer for number 5, you got that right, which means you are welcome back on the show anytime. If you have
Anytime I
time.
could just show up just randomly whenever
If-
you're be like,
yeah.
hey,
I want
Joel's
you to-
here. Yeah.
To quote a phrase from 2020, I would love for you to Zoom bomb me.
Ooh.
You can give me the dreaded Zoom bomb 5 years after people stopped doing it. You'll be the only one Zoom bombing anymore.
In 2028, that's going to mean something different. I think that's going to mean a digital poo.
Yeah, if you say Zoom bomb to your kids, they'll be like, "Ooh, Dad,
Oh my God.
did you just say that?" All right, dude. Please go check out The Sick World of Dr. Show, but also It's Too Late with Joel Savage. Search for Savage Tech, TECH, on YouTube, on the interwebs. Connect with them.
Instagram.
Look at the stuff.
Where we're at.
Instagram is the best place to see it all. Thank you so much for joining us today, Joel. That's all for this week. Thank you so much to Joel Savage for being my guest, and thanks to you for listening. Here's the voice of a kid who only knows Telegram as an iPhone app.
Thank you for listening to The Internet Says It's True. To listen to episodes ad-free and a week early, support us on Patreon. You can do that at patreon.com/Michael Kent. If you learned something just now that you didn't already know, go to the Apple Podcast app and leave us a review with 5 stars and a few words. That helps us a ton, because that's how the algorithm works. I don't know what an algorithm is, but just do it. See you next week for a brand new episode of The Internet Says It's True!
The Internet Says It's True would like to thank the Patreon subscribers whose monthly contributions help to make this show possible. Sean Brown, Joshua Endress, Dallas Ray, Bryce Swanson, Eugene Anderson, Jim and Joanne Martin, Mitch and Andrew Joseph Kemplin, and the show's official Emperor, Kick Track. The show is written and produced by me, Michael Kent. The theme song is by Finite Music Forge, and all audio clips in this episode are used for education and commentary and used under Fair Use Title 17 USC Section 107. You can listen to past episodes by searching for The Internet Says It's True wherever you get your podcasts, and you can see bonus content at patreon.com/Michael Kent.